everybody. Somebody let me know if the music is too loud. Last week I had an emergency and had to end real soon, but that's all taken care of. Everything's fine for now. I'm gonna go over what I've painted this week and then what we'll be painting today. So I've been doing the Reaper Challenge League. Today is my first stream in YouTube and Facebook, so hello to you all. Let's see if my computer wants to do this today. So this week I've painted just a real simple, there we go, real simple chest for my freebie category. I painted this dice man for the moderator's choice. I did not do so great on the inking of the numbers, but I think it's pretty cool. I painted this guy. I think he's called Grave Knight. I painted this cute little dragon hatchling. And I painted this thing. I think it's called a grave whaler. It has lots of mouths and eyes and a couple of hands. That was my limited palette. I used 5 colors on it. Let's see. I might get a chance to work on this guy. He is a gnome accountant. As you can see, I've already started him, but not very much. I think everything I've got today I've been working on except for one. This is my elf bard. That I'm doing for my trio, I believe. This is going to be my player character mini. You can't really tell, but her skirt and bodice are painted green. I'll have to work on some highlights for that to get it to really pop. For St. Patrick's Day, which is my seasonal theme, I'm going to be working on this next weekend, more so, is this leprechaun guy. Again, it's green, I promise. Excuse me. I started this bust this week. I had started painting her originally, and then she got thrown in a box and paint came off of her face, so I had to start over, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. Let's see. I started this Hydra for one of my large minis that needs to be painted this month. I just got a rough base coat on the snake part and the base. The one I have not started is the hippogriff, which he's also going to be a large mini. Let's see if I can fit all the pieces on my desk, or in view anyways. This is his body. And he's got a little leg here. with the hippogriff, I'm gonna use the wings as a proxy for my rock. Well, not a proxy, a practice for my rock, whose wing, I have one of the wings here. I don't know if it will fit on camera. It will not. Let's see if I can. Nope. It's not gonna fit. But it is very large. It's longer than my hand. So when I start working on that, I'll try to get a different angle for you all to look at. Okay. I'm pretty happy with the skin on her chest and her face and neck, but I need to work on this shoulder and the front and back of her arm, which I'm going to start with. Thin my paint. I am using a wet palette, but I like to thin the paints just a little bit anyways, because I just put them down so that it hasn't really had time to soak up any extra moisture. Almost done. I also started her hair, which I'm not quite happy with yet, so we'll probably work on that some too. Okay. Let's start with another base coat on her arm. I'm using Rosie's Skin Triad from Reaper Minis. I love their paint. That's mostly what I use because that's mostly what I have. I also have a lot of Pro Acryl paints from Monument Hobbies, and I really like those too. They're a similar consistency. They come in bigger bottles than the Reaper paints, and there's just some really unique colors, I think. Gonna do the shoulder again. And the back of the arm. Try to get in between her arm and body. Let that dry for just a second. And while that's drying, I'm going to work on this gnome guy. You really want to let paint dry between your layers, because if you don't, it can get overworked and you'll get a lot of texture. If you want texture, that's fine. But if you're trying to go for a really smooth looking skin, then it is hard to do while things are wet. So I bounce around a lot. I'm just shadowing between his fingers and on the back of his hand, under his arm, his nose. I'm just doing his whole nose because I'm gonna want it to be a little pinker than everything else. To his ear. It's better when you are painting to do a few really thin coats instead of thicker coats when you're basing things, because it'll help with the smoothness and it won't obscure detail. If your paint is too thick, like if it was too thick on the feather, you'd lose all those ridges. Gonna take a little of my pink I've got over here and just like touch the end of his nose. I'm gonna also use it for his knuckles. I haven't decided what color I want to paint the outside of the book yet. I'm probably going to do the pages a linen white right now, because that is what I have on my palette. I already painted it a color, but I don't remember what color that is. Remember, folks, write down your colors you use and colors of mixes you make. Just take all the notes. My paint's a little bit too thin here. You can see how it's pooling. Maybe in the crevice here, so when I pull it just bounces right back. So I'm gonna let that dry for a minute, and then I'm gonna come back over to our bust. I'm gonna work on the shadows first. This is generally how I work. I'll work on the base coat and then the shadows, and then the highlights. I don't know what's going on. Oh, that's the dragon's arm. Okay. I knew she was supposed to have another finger right there, but that did not look right. Oh, her pinky is just sticking out right there. I'm gonna do a little bit of shadow right in this bit here. And right behind it, I'm just gonna do a thin line. Because I've set her up where the light is coming from this direction on the right. As you can see, if you look at this side of her face, it's a little darker, and that is intentional. So I've got the light coming from here. I'm also going to do a little bit of shadow around her hairline. I'm also going to do a shadow around the hair on the face, because it will obscure the light just a little bit. This bust is made by Reaper. I got it in the Bones 5 Kickstarter, I believe. It is not yet out for retail. I can't wait for them to put it in retail because I am excited to get another one. She's really good for practicing skin tones. Now I'm going to take the shadow and go all the way down the inside of her arm. That way it looks like there's a shadow where there actually is a shadow. So it looks a little weird, but once I get the highlight in there, it'll even out. But if you, I don't know if I can get a good angle on this, if you turn her the way the light is coming from, there is a natural shadow that falls right there. And then I'm gonna shadow heavily under where her other arm would be. And then the back of the arm. Do the crease. And this little edge right there that's totally hidden. Along the dragon. Now, I like redheads, if you can't tell. And I'm going to work on this to get some better contrast, because right now it just looks kind of flat. I don't know if that will she's got a little bit of a halo going on. And then down the side is highlighted where where she is sitting in the light. So I'm going to start with my medium orange and block in that highlight on the side of her head a little better. And this will look highlighted if my hand shadow doesn't get in the way. I hope everyone out there is doing well. It's been a week around here, but things seem to be settling down. Alright, I'm gonna let that dry for a minute, and I'm going to send you all links to what I'm working on. If Twitch will decide I'm logged in. Just one moment. Alright, sorry about that. My music got a little weird because my computer does not like to do a lot of things at once. There are some of my social media links and my Discord. And the first one is what I'm currently working on. And it has links to where you can buy the ones that you can buy. I'm getting pretty happy with the highlights on this side of her head. I'm going to do some across the top here, covering my brighter highlights, but I can fix that in a little bit. one of the things I like about Reaper's paints are that, well, I'm not sure about it anymore, but a lot of them came in a triad system, which means they came in 3 colors that could be used as a shadow, a base, and a highlight pretty reliably. And I'm using the red hair triad for this, which I absolutely adore and will be very sad if they ever discontinue it. By the way, any of the companies that I mentioned, I am not sponsored and not affiliated with any of them. I just really like their stuff. So you can see, maybe, see how this side is much lighter than the other side that's going to be shadowed a little bit. I'll try to turn my light to give a better, yeah, that's a better angle, so you can kind of see what's going on. I'm going to do some of the shadows in between the hair, or the big chunks of hair, where it's obscuring other hair. And a lot of working with skin and hair and things like that is messing around back and forth until you get it how you like it. So I could spend easily 10, 15, 20 hours on this if I really wanted to, but I want her painted by the end of the month. So I'm not gonna do that today. Now I'm going to try here on the back where it looks like there's just a line right there. I'm going to try to, hey Brie, I really like to paint red hair. Red is, or like ginger hair. The concepts of it just kind of come easily to me. Whereas blonde hair, not so easy. Darker hair is okay too. Gotta love those genetic anomalies, yeah. So I put down wet paint. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of blending so there's not so stark of a line right there. I'm not sure that quite worked, but I'm just going to kind of keep moving the line further to my right. And just continue layering and blending. Again, until I'm happy with it. Doing a dark hair that's graying would be a cool challenge. Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever done that. Actually, I'll have to try that on maybe my Bard mini. I'll paint her hair a paint over what I've started. I'll let that dry for a minute. This is the Bard. She's a little washed out. I might have too much light going on. But I might paint that dark and then do like her ponytail a whiter color. Or I could probably do it on this gnome who is very much balding. Okay. Back to this. If there's ever any minis that y'all want to see me paint, or like types of minis, let me know either in my Discord or like somewhere on Instagram or Facebook where I will see it. And I will, if I have something like that, I will attempt to work it into my rotation. Now you can see how it's starting to transition. There's still a little bit of a line, but I will work on that. You can see how there's... This is all darker. I will do my mid-tone, but I will not bring it up to my super high highlight except maybe on the top of the head. This is the part of the hair I really don't enjoy, is right here around the face. Because as you can see, I've already done her face and I really don't want to do it again. And this bit of the hair will have a lot of shadow to it because it's not directly in the light. Also, trying to get between her head and the dragon's head is not the easiest. So I'm just taking my shadow color and trying to feather over the edges a little bit to try and make it not such a stark transition. I'm going to go back and forth between the shadow and the midtone until it's blended how I want it to be. There might still end up being a little bit of a line, but I'm pretty happy with that, I think. Now, my highest highlight is actually not the color in the triad that came with it, because I cannot find, but it is a very close approximation. I'm using Fire Orange. Yeah. Fire Orange for this highlight instead of Highlight Orange that I cannot find. So for these really bright highlights, I'm just doing the very top of her head, and then the very highest points on the hair that stick out. And then if I get too much, I'll go back and paint my midtone in real carefully between all that, or shadow as necessary. Today might be a little bit of a longer stream if I feel up to it. So you can see how I won't sit here and do hair the entire time, I promise. I need to start on those wings for the hippogriff and continue to work on the hydra. Alright, so there are the highlights. Let's put a little bit more right there. And now I'm going to do something, excuse me, something that I learned. I'm going to take a little bit of my skin and a little bit of the skin shadow and mix them together. And then I'm going to paint very lightly down her part, which I will later glaze over, because hair is actually pretty translucent from my recollection of what things I've heard. So she's got her part there. And then I'm going to take my highlight orange and do a real thin. Oh, that's too bright, so I'm going to take my mid-tone orange and go over that. That'll probably take a couple layers to dull it down. I don't know how well you can see that, but that is the side of her head that I'm really happy with, actually. Might need a few more shadows in here, but I'll come back to this one in a little bit once it has fully developed time to dry. I'm gonna start working on these hippogriff wings. And these are maybe 3.5-ish inches long. So it's pretty big. How are you doing, Bree? I meant to ask that much earlier. Oh no, not a cold. I'm sorry. That always sucks. I hope you feel better soon. It helps if I pull out the color I need for the wings. Oh, you caught it from your first week at preschool job. Yeah, I can see that then. This is Ashen Blue. I'm going to do part of the wings in it. And maybe do a blue wash over it to make it a little darker when I'm done. And then I'm going to do these long feathers on the ends in white. But you also got a job. Yeah, congrats. That's exciting. Alright, let's put that one out of the way and start on this one. I want paint on my brush, but as little as possible, since this has so much detail in it. I'm going to attempt to do some lining on the bigger wings, or feathers of the wings. Usually I would tend to do a thicker layer for my base coat, but I am really trying hard not to muck up these details too much. So, in case anybody didn't catch it, I'm going to try to make this wing look like this, which is too big to fit on screen, and I realize that I've already messed up because this side is all white and this side is blue and white, And this is the inside of the wing, which should be all white. But that should be fixable. So I'm going to flip this over and do the blue. Epic music for epic repaint, yeah. This is the fantasy playlist from Streamlabs Music. I think that's what the app is called. It's all royalty free. I can use it on Streamlabs, I can use it on YouTube. I am planning on later, maybe next month, I'll start my really big dragon that I have, and I'm gonna have to adjust the camera way out for any of that to fit on screen because it's like a foot tall. I've been working on that mini for a long time, and I almost finished it in 2020, and then all our gaming went digital, so I got real depressed and did not finish it, and it sat on a shelf off and on since then. So I'm excited to now have a reason to finish it. It's going to be one of my Challenge League minis. Make sure this is the right side for this side. I'm going to throw my paintbrushes on the floor. No, I'm not done over here. Alright, now that section of the wing is done. And I can move on to this other one. I need more paint. And I'm gonna thin it. Just a touch. For thinning paints, I have this bottle. It is made from a larger bottle that I take Liquitex Flow Improver and just regular distilled water and do a 50-50 1-to-1 mix. And it works pretty well for keeping the surface tension and everything together. Trying to get paint between the feathers. I'm trying to decide if on the big wings I want to totally start over or not. Because like my giant dragon, I started this a couple years ago and just got bored with it. And I know it looks fine, but I did not finish the lining on them, and I know now that I'm much better at lining than I was a couple years ago. So I'm trying to decide if I should strip the paint from the wings, nothing else, just the wings, and start those over. I don't like to strip minis because usually you can just paint over it. But since the feathers have such fine detail, I don't want to cover that more than I have to. So there's that. This one is almost dry. You can see how much darker it dries over the dark liner that I used for basing. So the white's gonna take quite a bit. Oh, I thought I turned that off. Okay. I thought I turned the Ko-Fi bot off. Ko-Fi. I don't know. I'm still working on setting that up, so y'all can just ignore that for now. And I will try to remove it until it is actually set up. Speaking of setting things up, I have spent the last 3 or 4 days building a website. I am going to start teaching painting classes digitally along with a friend of mine. If you're local to me or maybe her, there's the possibility of a physical class, but I've not figured out where I would do that. yet. So once I get that website up and running, I will add it to my list of links, and y'all can check that out. I'm really excited to be doing this. We both have very different skill sets, so there's a lot of things you can learn from both of us. For more information about that soon, you can join my Discord, which is there. So please do check that out. I'll be sending out a preview link for the website soon to anybody who is interested in seeing it to get feedback. It is that time of the year where my allergies are fully kicking in, so I apologize for all the sniffling. I'm surprised I haven't been sneezing yet. So I think that looks pretty close. I think what I did was I used this color here and then used the Army Painter blue tone ink, which is really just a wash. And I really like their washes that come in the dropper bottles. These are part of their War Paints line, which has been discontinued, I think, in lieu of them releasing their Fanatics line, which I've heard nothing but good things about. I do not have them, so I have not tried them yet, but I hear very good things. And generally, I was definitely not a fan of their War Paints line, so I'm interested to pick up a couple of bottles to test them out and see what's up with that. Need more white paint. I promise I did shake all of these on my vortex mixer before I started, but I have mixed them by shaking them by hand for so long that it doesn't matter what I do, I still shake the paint manually. I'm probably not going to do it right now, but you can definitely see, especially with this one as it dries, that it needs at least one more layer. Yes, Brie, it is like how you have to crab clap the kitchen tongs to make sure they tong. That is correct. If you don't do that, everything is ruined. I think I'm going to paint this side of this wing and then move on to something else because I am getting bored of feathers. Which could be why I stopped the big wings. I am incapable of painting just one mini at a time, and I've been that way since I started. I used to paint much faster, but as I've looked back on my work, I realized I painted faster because I hadn't learned a bunch of the skills that I know now. So I was not great. I wouldn't say awful, but I was not great. But that is part of the learning experience. Alright. I'm going to move these out of the way. And work on some scales. This is... Excuse me. This is the Greek Hydra. The Bones 5 Kickstarter had a Greek expansion set. So, there's this Hydra, there's a Storm Giant, there's all sorts of really cool things. This is going to be my large figure for the quarter, which is basically until the end of the month. Because I did not get started on my quarterly stuff until this month. Whoops. No, I am painting off camera. I want to get a better base coat on these back scales, and then I will do the belly scales. I think I'm going to do this really pale yellow with this brown and then highlight it in a cool-ish. I was thinking about white. I put white on my paintbrush. In this mix between a cool and a warm, so I guess like a neutral white-ish color. I haven't decided what I want to paint these little frills yet. You can see them here, or that's a better, easier one to see. So I'm just kind of base coating them with my brown. I will be right back. My nose is dripping. Alright, sorry about that. Had to deal with my nose, and I took a couple seconds to stretch my hands. Which, if you have not gotten up and stretched, that's probably a good idea. Hydrate, stretch, grab a snack. I'm just going to be painting scales for a few minutes. I'm hoping to get a lot of things finished because real soon, like during the week, because I really want to spend a lot of time on this Hydra and my bust. I want to line between all the scales and highlight all the scales. which might happen. If not, I've got other snakes to paint somewhere, and I can spend a lot of time on one of those. I might, if anyone is interested in seeing me line and highlight individual scales, I can do that on stream. It is quite a... I enjoy doing it. I think it's meditative, but I can see how a lot of people would think it's boring or tedious. Oh, this has little horns too. I don't know why I didn't expect that. A couple of weeks ago, I got this new art lamp, and I'm absolutely in love. You can kind of see it here. It's very posable. Which I like. The only thing I think I don't like is that it is a clamp and does not have a base for it. And the lip of my desk is only about yay big. So I occasionally have to undo it and redo it so it doesn't fall like my other lamp did a couple weeks ago. Which I'm still not sure how that happened. But I have since plugged that one in and it works. Oh, sorry about that. Alright, those heads have a second base coat. Let's do these. Now, I haven't decided if I want to highlight with another brown or if I want to do a red. Because that will indicate what color I use to do my lining. Oh, so I was saying my art lamp. It is the Lucent Hobby and Art Light from Game Envy. I use a lot of their products because I genuinely enjoy them. I pay for them myself, so not sponsored, not affiliated. But it costs $85 US. And it is an amazing light. If I knew more about anything about lighting, like light bulbs and what all that means, I would dig it up. But I don't. So I can just tell you it's nice and bright, and you can pose it in many ways. Which is nice when I have a weird spot of light that I can't, like where I need a spot of light and I can't quite reach it. I think once I'm done with this head, which I almost am, I'm going to jump back over to my bust and maybe finish up her hair, since we only have about half an hour to go. I hope everybody is doing well and enjoying themselves. I'm still trying to get used to this. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I'm not quite versed in everything yet. Alright, so let me swap brushes here. And we'll look at this hair and how it has dried. Yeah, I have a little bit of a line going on here, so I think I'm just gonna have to do some blending back and forth to kind of get that, oh, excuse me, get it softened back up. And then this side is nice and dark. I need to do another, there we go. Another slightly darker layer over her part, because it still looks very stark to me. Okay. I'm going to try to deal with this line So I'm gonna try to wet blend real fast. So I'm taking wet paint of 2 different colors, and I'm just kind of mixing them back and forth until it looks like a more subtle line. I'm using the side of my brush to do this. And we'll see how that looks when it dries. I'm gonna put in some shadows here. She's coming off. There we go. Okay. I'm going to I have my light over here from the angle that I've done her shadows, and I'm going to try to highlight and shade the top of the head accordingly. Because after about here, it drops off dramatically. So I'm just doing a little bit of the bright highlight. I'm sure this is an awkward angle, and I apologize. Okay, I did too much of a highlight. So I'm going to take our mid-orange and bring it back down just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take the mid-orange and pull where the high points on the hair are. Because while they'll be darker than the other side of her head, they're still there. You don't want to just shadow shade the side of the head, or it will look weird. So I'm trying to catch these raised pieces. And I think I'm pretty happy with the hair. You can definitely tell that it is lighter on this side. That line is pretty much gone. That's still pretty wet, but you can see how it is clearly darker than this side. So I'm very happy with that. I'm trying to decide what color I'm going to paint the dragon still. I'm thinking a metallic color. If anybody wants to see how some metallic paint works, let me know. And I'll probably use my Pro Acryl paint for that. Since I enjoy them a little bit more than any of the other metallics that I have. This is not very neat, but I will fix it later. It's just paint. It can be fixed, and if worse comes to worse, you can strip it and start over. Messing up is not the end of the world. I realized I forgot to smooth out this arm. So I'm just gonna take my skin shadow that I'm using and put a little bit there, and then my highlight, and just kind of wiggle the brush back and forth. To make that transition a little bit softer. Because it was a very hard line there. There's still a little bit of it near her elbow, but that seems to have fixed it. Let's do the back of her arm, because I did the same thing. I put shadow and forgot to do the highlight. Which there really wouldn't be much of an actual highlight back here, since this arm is totally in shadow. I'm just going to paint it a little bit darker than my regular highlight. And then mix some of my highlight in there to make her not look so orange-y. Okay, sleep is taking me. Have a good rest of your day. You too. Feel better. Highlighting the fingers. A little bit of highlight on this shoulder, but I don't want it to be so white. So I'm just kind of blending. Got too much paint on my brush there. And I got paint where I don't want it. So I just take a damp brush and as quickly as humanly possible, a clean damp brush, just kind of carefully erase. Okay, I'm going to attempt to work on her little crown and her chest clip thing. I'm gonna make the crown silver with some accents of some color, but I'm not sure yet. And I'll probably make the clasp also a similar silver, if not the same. Sorry, I keep going off screen. I am trying to see what I'm doing so I don't get it all in her hair. Normally I would have made this gold or something, but I think because of the red that her hair is, gold would have blended in too much. And her little emblem here looks like, I was going to say bat, but it's probably a dragon, which makes a lot of sense. I'm liking how that's looking. I think I'm going to do turquoise gems. That sounds like a good idea. That'll stand out. Might have to do something different with her shirt. Instead of this green, I might need to make it a brighter green. Or a darker green, because then I can highlight to my heart's content. I think that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and take this green that I've been using for her shirt and just do another layer. Try to clean up where I've gotten other paint on it, so that when I do if I do a base coat of a different green, it's all consistent. I feel like these ruffly bits on her shirt should be a white or pale blue or something. I got green where I don't want it. So I erase real fast. That looks better. just stuck my hand in wet paint. To fix that. There we go. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna come back once all the green is dry and do I'm looking at my color wheel. Let's see. This is my color wheel. I'm using a pretty green. It's a little bit darker than that. So I might go a light blue. Let's see what... Yeah, the shirt's about this color. A little darker. Yeah. I'm gonna make it a light blue. And we'll see how that works. If that doesn't work, I will go back with my linen white and just go over it. So let's... Oh, I'm seeing some straps that I missed. I'm gonna start with this blue that I painted on the wings of the hippogriff. So I can go up to an even lighter blue, but this one is more opaque than the other one, so... And I mean, the shirt might all be one color or one piece, making it one color, but I think it's more interesting this way. If you're enjoying what I'm doing and want to keep track of when I'm doing it, it'd be great if you gave me a follow and turn notifications on so that you can see when I go live every week. Sometimes I do change my time slot that I work in. I'll do it a little bit earlier in the day on holidays or big events. So like for the Super Bowl, I did it a couple hours early so that people I know who wanted to be there could. This is a really hard section. I might use a darker brown on these straps, because I realized one of them is like buried in her hair. kind of like that. Get a slightly smaller brush, and I don't have many browns on my desk. I've got a lot of red. I'm gonna mix some walnut brown with this, which is almost a black with the brown. I was using for the straps already. And that should darken it down sufficiently. If it doesn't totally overtake the color. Alright, let's see. Yeah, I think that'll work. And I'm gonna just go over this strap that I missed. And I will go back and fix this little sliver there that's supposed to be skin. Oh, I'm gonna do her little clasp here, silver. Or not clasp, the little belt ring. Alright, let's try to get this strap that's all between the folds of her shirt. I think that worked. There we go. I'm much happier with that darker color. You can kind of see how the brooch clasp thing stands out a little more. When I am getting closer to being finished with it, I will go back and line everything in probably a black or just the straight walnut brown. So you have clear defined sections that you can see. Well, it is almost time to wrap up, so I'm going to say goodbye and hope everybody has a great rest of your day and week, and I will be here next Sunday painting my little leprechaun. So thank you all for coming, and I'll see you later.